Hey y'all, first of all, thank you so much for your responses to my manuscript being accepted by the American Journal of Nursing. And I've gotten a few questions about it. So, full title is Provision 5 is asking us to listen to nurses differently, an ethical imperative for organizational culture. So what the paper actually argues is that at its core, it's about how we listen to nurses, not whether listening matters, but how we do it. So Provision 5 is referring to the ANA Code of Ethics. Provision 5 is our duty to ourselves as to our patients. So I talked about how culture is not an HR metric. And the methodology problem right now is that most healthcare organizations assess culture through annual surveys or engagement surveys. Culture doesn't operate on an annual timeline. Culture is a lived reality of psychological safety, workload, and sustainability, leadership responsiveness, and team functioning that nurses experience on a daily basis. When 84% of nurses meet criteria for emotional exhaustion, 39% intend to leave within a year, the question is not why nurses are struggling. The question is why organizations continue diagnosing culture retrospectively instead of intervening prospectively. What the evidence shows is that organizational environment drives retention more powerfully than individual resilience. Qualitative studies show poor management practices in 100% of nurse resignation narratives, with excessive workload, bullying, and moral distress acting as compounding drivers. Nurses are not leaving because they lack fortitude. They're leaving because workplace cultures violate Provision 5's ethical requirement to preserve their integrity. This is why annual surveys fail, because they systematically underestimate harm. Underreporting is common, especially when nurses believe nothing will change or fear retaliation. So that's consistent with research. By the time survey results show decline, damage has already occurred and nurses have already left. This is a lagging indicator. The methodology shift that I talk about in this manuscript is that what organizations need is not more data, but better diagnostics, better tools. My paper argues for phenomenological assessment that captures nurses' lived experiences, their voices, their real-time daily lives, reality within specific cultural context. This is the approach that detects unit-level cultural deterioration early enough to intervene, rather than documenting harm after attrition. So that's, in a nutshell, what my article is about. The methodology exists. The evidence exists. What remains is organizational courage to implement and operationalize listening to nurses differently.